It is episode 398 of This Whole Life, live from the Whole Life Church in Orlando, where Melanie and Ken and Randy are joining you. Not
Hello.
live, but we're joining you anyway. And it's another Tuesday for us, a Wednesday morning for you. And for episode...
How do you know it's Wednesday morning for them? It could be Thursday afternoon.
No, I'm just going to say it's Wednesday morning because
right.
I'm talking to those. You know who you are, Mariana, and I know you're listening. It's Wednesday morning. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, there's definitely a group that they're ready to go when
Matthew,
it drops. Yeah,
Matthew, it's a week later, but it's still Wednesday morning.
I don't know. I think he may have caught up because
Did he catch up?
A week ago he texted me something very specific to that week.
Oh, maybe. Matthew, let me know.
He just couldn't wait. He couldn't wait.
Well, he liked to keep that buffer zone, but once everything went crazy with the RSS feed, it might have gotten everybody finally caught up. That was the craziest thing ever. And
speaking of crazy things,
crazy things.
You're wearing your Green Bay jersey.
Again, well, it's now I can't not do it as long as they keep winning because now I'm not.
Do you wear it every day until they?
No. This is Victory Tuesday.
Oh, just Victory Tuesday.
So Victory Monday, obviously, the office here is closed, and it's a day off for staff. And so Tuesday, we're all back together. So I started doing this as our run to the playoff. It was sweatshirt, and then it was like I graduated the jersey, and I'm like, well, now with the jersey, and I do have another jersey that I'm saving. And so it just, if we win it all, then I'll be bringing in my throwback 1950s era jersey to save for that. But that's a tall order, and I'm not saying that's going to happen.
This is not a thing where you don't wash it and you wear it every day.
No. I'm not that superstitious, but a little bit of it is. Not to gloat, but a little. Today my wife took me and Emily took me to lunch.
That was a huge win. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
You drop a 48 burger in the playoffs. You're
in their own stadium, right?
In their own stadium, which we've never lost in, by the way, including a Super Bowl, against your former head coach. Man, and I'm not going
to lie though. I had to look this up just to be sure. I was on Facebook without really putting everything into context, and I saw a church member's text that said, or on Facebook said, "I'm done." And I was like, I became really worried. I was like,
oh, no, I knew what it was about because him and we've been doing this for a long time.
I saw, I'm done. I'm like, oh man, I better give him a call or figure out. And then I was like, wait a minute. The Cowboys are playing. He's a Cowboys fan.
This goes back to our days at Forest Lake together. So him and I have been having this.
Okay.
This
maybe
duel.
you should still call him.
Yeah.
Well, there was I don't feel like I'd be very helpful to him as a Washington Commanders fan.
No. And then,
I guess he at least made it to the wild card game. We didn't even get close, but
he won as many games as the Chicago Bears in the playoffs this year. So, sorry, that was sorry, that was out loud voice. I'm so sorry. No, but
you're not sorry at all.
Nobody expected us, including fans. We were like, hey, this is a rebuild year, and so Packer Nation in Cheesehead Nation, everyone is just like. Yeah, we're ecstatic to be here. Our first year starting quarterback threw a perfect strike for the postseason, along with C.J. Stroud, amazingly enough, two rookie or first-year quarterbacks throwing in their first playoff game a perfect passer rating. How about that?
They're serious when they can say Cheesehead Nation with a straight face.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Not just a straight face, but get upset with you for not.
Serious.
No, it's go Pack go. That's it.
So I guess we just switched up the food talk I guess Cheesehead.
We're still talking cheese.
Close,
yep.
so, yeah.
Well, and speaking of which, I think we'll probably next week, stay tuned, because I think next week to start the show off, we're going to make an announcement.
Okay.
About episode 400.
Oh yeah.
And
we should be ready for that.
There are things in the works. There's things possibly cooking. Yeah. So we'll, but all of that will be revealed next time on This Is Whole Life. No. I felt like a soap opera moment there coming on, so I kind of felt like I had to roll. Roll with it there.
It's pretty strong work.
Oh man. So this is week 2 of Connect, our new theme for 2024. I'm already loving the theme. Not that Follow Me is like classic, right? Like you can't not like Follow Me.
I want to go back to however many episodes it was. I feel like you said the same thing last year. It's
Probably.
Like, I'm really liking this theme, Follow Me. I mean, not that there was anything wrong with the Rise,
right. But see, I always feel like when we're in the middle of it, everyone jumps in hard and goes for it.
Yep.
And the excitement, it's hard not to get caught up in the excitement.
Oh, absolutely.
You walk in the worship center, it's all purple. You got the gobo light on the floor with the logo. Like this year, the upgrades so anyone that gave to that campaign, thank you so much.
Yes.
Big time.
That has really opened up what we can do in that room to make things more interactive, to make things more, to set moods,
to notice we need new carpet.
Oh yeah, it's like, wow! If you guys never noticed the carpet was in this bad of shape until we got better lights. See, that's why you don't upgrade
There are benefits and there are consequences.
That's true. That's why I like my truck. They wanted to fix everything that was wrong with it, and they gave me this itemized list, and I'm like, what does it need to be fixed to run? After that, don't touch it, because as soon as you start, it's a domino effect. But no, seriously, the worship center, I love the way we kicked everything off, and I'm really enjoying this series. And judging by the comments we've had in the chat the last 2 weeks, the robust conversations, I would say y'all are enjoying it as well. So that's I think the vision of the 5-year plan. I mean, it sounds good, right? You can go through all of them, and then you're like, yeah, I don't know. But then the excitement builds, and then the next excitement builds. And I don't know. I feel like now you said this is pivotal. Everything hangs off of this. And so I kind of feel like maybe this is, and I'll say the next thing next year. Same thing next year, probably.
If we overflow into next year, we'll see what happens.
I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I see what you did there.
That's good. It's good work over there. Kim.
I'm just
But I suspect
curious.
greater things will happen.
Oh, my word. Here we go.
Tell me you all didn't hear that one coming. I know you can't see it.
It's just teed up.
But that was a nice tee off. That just went almost like it was not planned. Almost. Yeah. The jigsaw puzzle analogy. We're going to get to some questions later, and some of them have made me chuckle. I'm just like, oh, okay, there. Yeah. So you gave this week, in case you haven't watched the message, of course, you can go to the wholelife.church on the front page. The message is there each and every week, usually on Saturday afternoon. And now that an announcement that we'll be making this week in church, which I'm not going to spoil it today because you're going to have fun.
Oh, it's such a good announcement.
Whether you're in person or online, you're going to cheer. You're going to cheer along with Randy. Just know that when you get this announcement. But I can say with a greater degree of confidence that it will be up on Saturday afternoons on a very regular basis moving forward. So let's just say that.
Cool.
Because we're going to make that happen, and we have the tools now to make that happen. But the jigsaw puzzle, and I was thinking about, did anyone else picture when you brought up the jigsaw puzzle, did anyone else picture in their head a puzzle that either you were a part of putting together or that you struggled with, or you're just like, they made this into a puzzle? This is impossible. I'll never forget. I think I was about 10 years old, and every year we would do Christmas at my Grandpa and Grandma Schneider's house on my mom's side of the family, and someone would buy, or some two, would buy my dad a jigsaw puzzle. And the one that I will never forget that took us, mom's like, look, we have to start going home. It's Sunday. It's 8:00 at night. We're not going to get home till midnight. And everyone stayed late to try to get this puzzle done. Everyone was up till 2:00 in the morning on Saturday night, all day Sunday. And it was called Midnight. And it was, it's a black cat with yellow eyes and whiskers. And then the only thing else you see on the whole thing, you see a little bit of it's all shading. You see a little nose, and you see little fine hairs. And then the outline are just little white hairs all over like the ears, the top of the head, things like that. And the rest of the background is black. So all the pieces are black. And it was one of the most difficult puzzles he's ever put together. And it was just so frustrating and there was just a team of us working on it, and it just took forever. And I immediately thought of that. My dad's a big puzzle guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to lie. I like puzzles, but I don't like those puzzles. Melanie and Tim worked with Rochelle and I on a puzzle. A couple years ago, we did a vacation, our families did a vacation together, and we had this. It was a puzzle of the Blue Ridge Mountains in all their Blue Ridge glory. It was just different shades of blue, and I swear that one would have never gotten done had Melanie not spent the entire vacation at that table making it happen.
Did you take a picture?
I took one look at it. I was like, "Wow, that's a pretty picture, but it is not for me."
Oh man,
determination.
Well, but from a metaphor standpoint, in that you mentioned that God gives us, we all have this puzzle, but God gives us all the pieces right from the beginning.
Yeah.
That one made me scratch my head a little bit.
Okay.
And just thinking about when did I realize everything that I need, God can provide. Mm-hmm. But when do you know when do you know, or how do you know sometimes what you need that he has provided? And that seems to be the question. The kingdom of God is here and now. We don't have to wait. It's as close as the air in your lungs. And you mentioned that it's a really good metaphor, but I also, we're physically connected to God, and yet sometimes that connection feels like it's not there, or it's so far away or so unattainable, but we choose to put it together. And I'm just like, man, I have tried to cram so many pieces into the wrong part of the puzzle because they all look pretty close, right? And and then when you get it wrong, you're like, well, a little help here would have been good. And that's the part I felt like an overall theme through the comments and the online chat, were people really grappling with, how do I know sometimes what those pieces are? How do I find them? How do I identify them? And then how do I trust that even if they fit, was that just me putting those pieces that I wanted together? Because I'm like, ooh, that one will go. And I'm pretty sure that one goes. And if I file the edge off of it, it'll totally go. And so I feel like that was one of the overriding themes was, how can we have confidence in what we don't? I mean, I know it's faith, but that what we don't see, or we don't always understand what the pieces mean. That was a big theme. So since it was your metaphor, what says you?
Keep working the puzzle.
Keep working the puzzle. Even if it's 2 a.m, keep working that puzzle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a fair question. And I think it doesn't have a particularly great answer. I think that besides keep working the puzzle, I'd love to tell you how do you know, but I put puzzle pieces in that I was confident went in and come back 5 or 10 years later. And maybe where the metaphor breaks down a little bit is perhaps there maybe in God's great puzzle, there are puzzle pieces that fit for a time period, but not long term. Maybe there are pieces that are in that moment the right place for that piece to be, but later on they come out and something else goes in. And maybe that's one of the ways this metaphor will fall apart. But I think I've been through periods in life where where the puzzle needed to be what it was, and then God's changed things, grown things in me, and it changes. And I think that what really that we have to do is going back to what you said about, well, I guess it's just faith. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's having faith that if you don't get it right, and you were sincerely seeking God's will, trying to do what you felt like God wanted you to do, trying to understand, that's all that God was looking for, was for you to have faith and to just to be seeking. And that maybe that's part of it.
I have to push back on the idea, though, a little bit that we have all the pieces.
Yeah.
I'm not sure we have all the pieces, because I think that there may be some pieces that are withheld, and God is like, you want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Oh, man.
And then that piece drops in at the right time. Either that or it was just, under the table.
The whole time.
And you found it
You
later.
You didn't check under the table? You always have to check. And don't vacuum before you get that check under the table.
Yes.
No, but the other part is I always feel like once I get to a problem that I feel like, oh, there's the piece. That fits. And that's a good fit. Feels right. It feels like what I've prayed for. Or at least, maybe not exactly, but that's God's answer. But then I assume that problem is done for and I never have to deal with it again. Because it's an answer, but answers aren't always in perpetuity, and I think that's something that I didn't learn soon enough.
So funny story. I promise you this relates. But when we first got here, and Tim and I were finally officially members of Whole Life, Jeff gave us the coolest present. It was this little package that had puzzle pieces in it. And when you put the puzzle together, theoretically, it's your picture within the Whole Life family, which was a super cool idea. But I think the people that were cutting the puzzles, I'll just say that they cut them in such a way that they could be flipped around, so they could be used differently. And so I was so confused for a while because some of the pieces absolutely fit where they were, but it was definitely the wrong face in the wrong place. But, so I don't know. Sometimes, like you said, Ken, I think some pieces fit in a place and you're like, I don't know about that, but it fits and that's where I'm leaving it for now. But then when you find the right piece, you can exchange it out.
Yeah.
Well, the part that made me feel better was Jesus comes to give us a rich and satisfying life. So I also don't feel like he's purposefully going, jump for that
Finding
piece.
His amusement by tormenting you.
By tormenting us. Like we don't know which one to choose and then I feel like, have I done my due diligence? Have I spent time praying? Have I spent time quiet trying to figure this out? Or have I just been running my mind so fast that any semblance of a nudge or a note or a hello over here?
Do you think God can't break through all of that?
In
honestly,
my mind,
honestly, do you think you have to go through a particular, mental clearing or something for God to be able to speak? I know that there's verses in the Bible that talk about listening to the still small voice, but when God wants somebody's attention, there have been angel choirs that showed up, and there has been lightning and thunder.
No, I don't think he needs to, but I also know that, man, I am a task-orientated person in many ways, and not necessarily that I make a list and I can't, deviate from the list or whatever, but there's a ton of things. I have 10 podcasts in my head every day that I want to, personal podcasts, nothing to do with church, just that I want to do for myself that I think people would eat up and totally enjoy, and I would love to do that. So I write down and I take voice notes for all kinds of things. I have projects I want to do, and I think, oh, that'd be cool if I could do that. But, so my mind is just going and trolling all this information. And, it's not a meme I saw only the first time, but recently Ellie sent me a meme with, my mind is like the web browser with 99 tabs open, and I can't figure out where the music's coming from.
Yes,
yeah, something similar to that happened today. Didn't we?
We did. We had a Zoom call, and I was like, man, where's that sound coming from?
Ken's music playing.
Ken's classical.
It felt like it fit with the Zoom conversation we were having.
Yeah, that's right. Keep it light and airy, and it was good. But in all seriousness, I wonder sometimes if that's something God's also trying to teach me is like, hey, you do need to slow down. You do need to, when you read your Bible, don't try to zip through it. Stop and enjoy it and enjoy me. And I am a voracious reader when I take time to sit down and read. I can zip through a book in no time and remember it and analyze it and keep it if I take time to read it. Or am I just trying to get through something? And so I feel like, not that he's purposely trying to keep, or that he can't do anything he wants to when he wants to, but I also think he's sometimes going like, we've had this conversation before, haven't we? And it feels like the dad-kid relationship. Like, have we not talked about this before? Like, you have to, you have to put in that effort, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's just too fast and I don't hear, or I don't stop, or I don't think about it. But what did everybody come up with? Did you write down yours when Ken asked, what was it, 10 ways, as many ways as you can think of in 60 seconds? What
connecting with God?
Which ways you could connect with God? Did you write yours down?
My list was up on the screen.
Yeah, you had a good list. Yeah. And you had some ones that I was like, oh, man, I didn't write down which one you wrote. And I was like, oh, that was dumb. I should have thought of that one. But it's hard in 60 seconds when you're put on the spot. Yeah. You're like, so did you write yours down? No. Did you think of them?
No, I didn't write mine down. I'm pretty sure I was maybe running up and down the stairs at the time. But I think in addition to Ken's list, I would say that there are moments when you connect with a person in a situation and you realize, oh, something's happening here. Something's going on here. And this is something that I was just reading. Where was I reading this? It was a friend. I randomly listen to sermons on the internet because I have a lot of friends who preach. So I was listening to a friend's sermon on, and he was talking about what we do after Christmas, after you put all the presents and the decorations away, what is there left to look forward to? And he was talking about looking outside the manger for the image of God. And he said one of the most difficult things to do is to see the image of God when you look in the mirror.
Oh.
And I thought, oh, wow,
ouch.
that's really powerful. But there are times, though, when you see those flashes of divinity in someone. And sometimes it's a moment where you're like, wow, God is, I feel like, God is speaking to me in this. Or it might be a situation where you're seeing a person in one light, and then all of a sudden it flashes that, oh, this person is made in the image of God, and then you feel differently about that person all of a sudden. So that was a really long explanation to a short question.
No, but I think that helps answer some of it, at least, because I feel like we're always hardest on ourselves, more so than probably anybody else could possibly be. And when you look across, and I don't know, I see all the things that I know I don't do well, and that's the default. And part of that, I don't know, maybe that's just human nature in general. But when you find like my dad was a total perfectionist, everything just like had to be perfect, and it's so much of that rubbed off. And then when you know that and you go, okay, I'm not going to be that way, and then you find yourself going like, oh man, you look in the mirror and go, wow, what are the Geico commercials where the guy's helping the young people not be their parents? Yes. And that might be the most relevant commercial advertising campaign ever, and I totally feel it when that comes on, where it's like, man, I was just dad right there. I want to look in the mirror and I want to see the things that God has done that I can remember are changes. This is the better part of Randy, because of whatever work you've been doing inside of yourself with God's help, through prayer, through your reading, through other people, through the people that, like here in staff. I feel lucky to be a part of this staff that has so many really, really genuine people that all are not afraid to speak into your life with so many different backgrounds. And it's rewarding to be a part of that, because there's parts where, people say things that they truly mean and you don't see it in yourself. Anderline today gave me a comment and I was embarrassed. I don't usually get embarrassed. And I was just like, wow, that's really, she was totally serious though. So thank you, Anderline, if you're listening. But that's not an easy thing to do. And I think that's part of this piece where if you're not sure or you're not happy with that piece of the puzzle, searching for that piece can get absolutely crazy. And then I felt almost a little bit like a velvet sledgehammer with the every moment of every day is an opportunity to connect with God. And that's a good thing, but it also feels like, ooh, that's like that's also every moment of every day is an opportunity to not connect with God.
Yeah.
And that's a little scary to think about.
Wow, way to turn that one
I know.
around,
Way to
Randy.
turn that frown upside down. I don't know.
I do appreciate you going to the worst case scenario right there. So,
But, these are and I guess, I don't know, Saturday was a weird day for me. And I get that little apathetic some days, and I wasn't feeling myself, and that's what I thought of. And maybe it's because that's how me 25 years ago would have totally felt. Like, well, shoot, if I really was honest and I counted today how many times I tried to connect with God or even thought of connecting with God, I would be pretty disappointed if that was, of course, it wasn't that big of a deal back then. But now it is. And when you think of all the opportunities that God puts in your path, did I take advantage of those? And that made me a little sad for a moment. But then also I had someone come up and say something again really nice to me on Saturday. And then it made me like, oh, well, okay, maybe it's not as bad as Randy. Again, that looking in the mirror and seeing what the devil wants you to see versus God wants you to see.
Well, and is it possible that what the devil would want you to see is all these missed opportunities that you could have connected with God, so you can beat yourself up about it? Because seriously,
no, you're not wrong.
I mean, I actually had a professor one time that said personal prayer and devotion is often the last bastion of legalism, because we think, I want to have a relationship with God, so I have to do this and this and this and this. And Ken, when you were talking about a day in the life,
that was
and you're
awesome.
like, he got up in the morning at 5 a.m. and spent at least an hour on his knees, and then he did. I mean, I think that we have this expectation in our head that this is what a Christian does. When honestly, you can drive along in your car and not have to stop for a red light and be like, wow, this is amazing. Wasn't that amazing, God? That was amazing. I did not have to stop there. I mean, it doesn't have to be like every moment doesn't have to be weighted with cosmic significance. It can just be open.
and I think that we also don't have to say certain forms of worship are superior to other forms of worship. I had somebody who got in touch with me and said, man, I feel so, unlike you, Randy, they said, man, I feel so much better after hearing that. They said, life has been kind of stressful and I haven't had time for doing the Bible studies the way I wanted to, but I've been, listening to some Christian music and I've been finding these other things, but I've been like, oh, well, that doesn't count. I'm not. And they said, it was really freeing for me to think, no, I'm connecting with God. I have been connecting with God, just not the way that I felt like I was supposed to because of the way I've been raised or what I've been taught. And I think that's for me what I was really happy for that, because I really do think that we sometimes really we're the type of people that we will commend somebody who spends an hour, 2 hours in prayer, 2 hours in Bible study, and then goes out and is a nasty human being out in the real world, but at least they spent 2 hours in prayer, and it's having no impact on their real life. Whereas maybe doing things in a way that speaks to your soul, maybe that's what's important. How you're connecting with God, and we all have the way that we connect in relationships. And I think that, there are people that are letter writers, like they're great at writing letters. And when they're in a romantic relationship, they write these beautiful love letters. There's other people that they're not going to write a love letter, but they might be musical, and that's where they find a way to express the love that they're feeling romantically. And then there's other people that they're not musical and they're not letter writers, but they're doers. They serve and they do all kinds of really nice things. And I think that we have to make some room for that within our walk with Christ, is that not everybody's a letter writer, not everybody's a reader, not everybody is musical, not everybody. But we all have the ways that God has uniquely created us to connect with Him. And I think we also need to not beat ourselves up when we miss an opportunity. I think, back at all the missed opportunities I had with my children, times where I was on my phone instead of paying attention to them the way that I wish I had. And those are missed opportunities, but you know what? My kids love me. And all I worry about is, there's going to be times where I'm not going to do everything the way I wished I maybe had. And that's okay. My kids still love me. I know I love my kids. And again, so, I do believe every moment is truly an opportunity to connect, but that don't believe it means that every moment you have to connect, or else you're somehow a loser in spirit and spiritual things.
Yeah, and how you connect. I mean, I appreciated that you were talking about, listening to music or listening to a podcast or listening to, one of the most powerful sort of spiritual experience memories that I have is being at, on the football field at, back then it was Quest Field in Seattle. And there was it was a U2 concert, and they were playing it on the field, and it was a rare, perfectly cloudless night, and it was like this powerful music, and then you look up and there was just this spread of stars in the sky, and it was overwhelming, but that was a God moment in the middle of this concert with however many thousands of people. But I think that's what I was kind of talking about earlier, where God breaks through in those moments. And it wasn't because I went to that concert thinking, I want to have a moment with God. Mm-hmm. You know, I went to the concert because I thought it was going to be fun, and it was going to be a great time. And then just this moment happens. And that's why I trust God to break through when God breaks through. Not that I don't think that it's important to have times where you calm your mind and you just listen. I think that is important. So I wasn't downing that at all. But also I think we have to trust that when God wants to speak, God speaks.
Well, and I thought one of the things that I really appreciated when Ken talked about spiritual versus secular, and how many times we like to compartmentalize things in our life, like, ooh, that's not appropriate for, Sabbath, or that's just not appropriate, for this or that. And, somehow you can't find God in the places, in the unexpected. And I love getting surprised in the unexpected. And it happens, I don't want to say it happens frequently, but every so often, or watching, maybe the other part is watching someone else realize that there can be just someone that you would never consider to be necessarily Christian or have any sort of faith. And then either they say or they perform or they do something that is just so obviously praising God and God's ideals and God's love. And when you point that out and someone goes, whoa, I would have never thought about it that way, just because, they're not Michael W. Smith, or they're not, somebody, man, that's really going old school. But honestly, he's one of the only people like the big Christian artists that I know of. I don't listen to a lot of Christian music. I'll just be honest.
I'll make you a playlist,
We're kind of figuring that out, Randy.
Z88.3, Emily loves it. So Heather listens to it in her car. My truck doesn't have a radio, so I don't listen to music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I do have Apple Music, but I listen to more podcasts now than I do music, probably. Well, for sure. Anyway, so just thinking about that, I do like the fact that, and I appreciate that you said that, waiting and seeing those times where God really speaks in something that you just wouldn't expect. And maybe those are some of the ways that you can know when God brings you to that kind of experience, that He's there, and He does, like Ken said, He does want to bring that rich and satisfying life. And, that's rich and satisfying to me. If I go and you have that moment where the hair on your arms and back and neck sticks up and you're like, whew, that's a God moment. I like it. Getting to our questions, we had, I printed off of everything this week. We had a total of like 7 full Excel sheets full of comments and questions and people interacting this week. Sister in Christ wants to know, It took Moses 40 years in the desert to find a path with God. Why do we seem in such a hurry if God is patient with all? Can we be patient with our brothers? Why can't we be patient if God can be patient with us? And I'm like, but
because we live in an instant gratification culture.
Oh man,
there's not a lot of waiting
no.
When Amazon can't deliver my package tomorrow, I'm feeling a little angsty, even though 10 years ago, if they got it to me in a week, I was like, oh, yes.
If you got something off the internet at all 15 years ago, you would have been like, wow, my payment made it through the interwebs.
And now if you see something pop up as a deal on the 2-hour delivery in your area, but it's sold out so fast you don't get it and you have to wait the week. Ooh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Okay. Randy said, I think that each of our puzzles are different, yet they still connect us to God. But how often do we want to or are told to try and build someone else's puzzle?
I thought that was a good.
Yeah.
Randy, that was so good. And then she followed that by, we frequently like to tell others that there's only one puzzle that is right. How can God of a universe as diverse as this have only one puzzle? So I think we should just not question the puzzle master.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say, Game Master?
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I would too. Game Master. How about that? Anyway,
It's like there's a game going on here at the church.
it could be. I don't know. I'd ask around if I were you. But anyway,
Sure.
Jaden said, maybe life is a conversation with God and prayer is just the part that we get to speak.
I love that.
That is.
I do.
That's really nice.
That is really nice. And it's something that I
feel like I want to steal that and put it in a sermon.
I know, right?
Say it one more time. That was really good.
Maybe life is a conversation with God and prayer is just the part where we speak.
I like it.
Thank you for that, Jaden. That one, since I saw it on Saturday, that one has just been running through my mind and the possibilities and just things I haven't really set in motion, but things that it just, it's been good. Randy wants to know, is the donut puzzle still on the table at Pastor Ken's house?
It is.
Is it really?
It is.
Because you gave them a bum puzzle?
I gave them a different puzzle.
Oh, man.
Because I thought that metaphor worked really good.
That was a great metaphor.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Sometimes the box you're handed doesn't have the puzzle that you thought it had.
But does God hand us that box the same way Ken did?
I don't know. Like I said, I feel
Choices?
like God gives us the puzzle pieces, and
We get to
sometimes people give us the box.
Oh, wow. So then we get to decide which is which. The puzzle analogy has so many different things
I loved it so much.
that you can do.
That's the cool part about this
Yeah.
analogy is it just keeps giving. I was actually talking to Randy and Myra after church about, well, what about this? Well, what about that? And we were talking about some other angles of puzzling. So that's the fun. That's the fun with a complex metaphor because you can keep pulling at it.
You know what has me concerned though?
What's that?
I didn't intend to do that this week. It literally hit me between the eyes late Friday night. And so I've realized now I've done 2 weeks in a row of people building something on a table.
I was wondering what you were going to pull out of the toy
I
box
know.
for next week.
I know. There's
So
got to be
we gotta-
something now.
I don't know what. I don't have it.
Maybe God will put that puzzle piece in front of you this week and let you go with
Melanie's
that.
hoping it's not Friday night like this week again. So
You know what? But sometimes those are the best things, and I feel like those are so many times when I have felt God working in even just small things. Not that this is necessarily small, but it just in small ways that it comes at the very last minute, and you're like, why in the world? As much as I've racked my brain, I've thought about it, I've asked other people for advice, I've Googled it. I mean, I turned the power on and off, and nothing seems to work. And then it's just like, bing, like why so late? And then I almost feel like it's like, well, that's the challenge. Are you going to accept it and go with it? Now you have it. Go do it. Twice I've had to rewrite a sermon at 2:00 in the morning on a Friday night, where everything I wrote was garbage before that. I felt like it was good. And then when you get the idea, and it was probably the one that I had more people come up and say, wow, I really needed to hear that message today. And that was the validation that 2 a.m. through 6 a.m.
yeah.
And that 2 hours of sleep on preaching for the very first time ever in your life in front of 600 people was a little nerve-wracking, but pulled it off and felt like it was the right thing. That was confirmation. So if it comes on Friday night, we'll help you.
All right.
Come into the office. And
so you have any other things that connect that
something else that connects?
Legos, puzzles.
Rope, knots. No, that's not really connecting. Not really. That's tying.
Well, there's a Connect 4 game.
Oh, there is Connect 4.
Yeah. And we have the U has life-size versions we could use on. Remember that from the spring picnic? Oh, wow. So we have access to that.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Where's Ken's classical music?
Some ideas.
and now a moment with Ken. and the classical music starts. Awesome. Well, I think that it definitely struck a nerve, and I think this whole Connect thing is a little uneasy for even for those of us that are more towards the extrovert side of things. It just all the conversation that this has been generating and the sub conversations about where do I fit in? Where do I fit in at whole life? Where do I fit in my tribe, or have I not found my tribe yet? And so the one thing, and we sent out a social post, and if you haven't, go to Instagram and check out Nathaniel. Poor guy. It's we made a lot of fun of him this last week, and it was super fun. And so, but the whole reason we did it was because we wanted to raise awareness that this week upcoming, if you catch this before Saturday, the 13th, it is our Whole Life volunteer job fair. It's going to be in the lobby.
Saturday the 20th.
20th? What day is it? Oh, right. Did I say 13th?
Yes.
Oh, meant the 20th. See, Melanie's here to make sure that
I got you.
I don't stray too far off course. But the 20th, there will be a lot of us ministry leaders in the lobby with tables and walking around and inviting you to come and be a part of our ministry if it's something that is of interest or of talent that you have. And, perfect. Tell them just briefly as we wrap up what you guys did Saturday night for the AV and the music teams.
Oh, we had a great time. We, one of the things that we want to do in the music and AV teams is to implement this idea of connection. And so often what happens is, you show up for rehearsal and you have a period of time and there, you show up and you sing together, or you do the production work together. But there's not a lot of time for just connecting.
Yeah.
And so Saturday night, we had a taco bar and karaoke party, and that was so much fun.
I heard you guys were missing some ingredients. Some sour cream and cheese.
It was almost like
I'm sorry.
It was almost like the youth who went camping this weekend accidentally took some of our ingredients.
So apparently we need a label maker here.
Well, and I did. So I did go up on Saturday morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning. I had my tape and my marker and my paper, and I went in there to label it, and it was gone.
Oh no! Oh man!
Labeled it a little too late.
It was too late. Now I know. I got to label it immediately.
Yeah, don't put it in without labels on it. But seriously, that's a cool thing to do that allows people to not only just connect on a weekly basis for, when sometimes, and especially the AV and music team, that's kind of when you're on, there's work to do. There's it's happening fast, but you still get that chance. There's warm-ups in the morning. We go through the program, so you really can find. And there's other ministries if that's not it. The communication department, we have things to do.
Absolutely.
There's the young, all of the kids ministries, young adult teens. Everybody could use a little bit of extra help. And
the fun thing is, I think, you were talking about, those of us who are extroverted, which is not me, by the way. But there are opportunities to connect and plug in for everybody. If your style is, hey, I want to be in the mix of everything, or if your style is, I like to be behind the scenes and quietly do this over here with these people, there are opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, you can always, you don't even have to come to the lobby because it's going to be busy this week. I'm going to give you, for those introverts, I'm going to give you an out. You can just send an email to podcast@wholelife.church and say, Randy, I get sweaty thinking about going to a lobby that full. But I would like to. Here's my talent, and here's where I think I could possibly, I will connect you. I promise.
Yep.
Go ahead and send me an email, and we'll make sure it happens. Or just show up and say hello. I love it when people come up and say hello in the lobby. And I will be in the lobby. I will have my iPad down there so I can continue to be in the chat room because I'll miss y'all if I'm not in there. But I will be outside and answering questions, seeing if you want to come aboard and help us pull a few things off this year. There's a lot of cool things to do.
On behalf of introverts everywhere.
I
thank you.
All right. Next week is that the last of Connect already? Or do we have...
No.
That was two. We have two more.
We're halfway through.
And so we did the case, we did vertical connection.
Next week's horizontal.
And
then the final one is the result.
The result. Ooh, the result. That sounds like a test.
Yeah.
So
you'll find out the result.
I guess we better pay attention. One more thing. If you are part of our email list today, in your inbox by today on Wednesday or whenever this week, there will be an email from the church to complete the mission index. We've had
if you haven't already done it.
Yeah, if you haven't already done it, but we've had a great response. But we'd like to make sure that anyone that maybe hasn't been here, didn't get it, it is on the front page of the website as well. A little video explaining what it is and everything you can. But we're going to send an email. And if you haven't taken a chance, please, with whatever your favorite toppings are on top of your sundae, please fill that out. That takes like 3 minutes.
I know you said one more thing, but I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about Jeff before we close out. For those of you who are at church, you would have seen that Jeff did a message to our congregation. And I just want to take a moment to talk about it. Jeff's been a part of this podcast for a long time. And if you didn't get to see that message on Sabbath, I'll go ahead and quickly summarize it for you. That Jeff informed me last summer that he was planning on retiring during the first quarter of 2024, and so we started making the appropriate plans for that and kind of moving ahead. And then over Christmas break, Jeff let me know that there were some health things that he was looking into. And right after the first of the year, he came back to me and said, "Ken, it's cancer." And so right now, Jeff's getting treatment. They're hopeful. They're optimistic, and we are all praying for him, and just rooting for him. And but at this point, he is going on medical leave, probably for kind of the rest of the time that he was going to be with us before he retired. And so his last Sabbath was a little sooner than we had expected it to be. So we're working on having a retirement celebration of Jeff's career and what he's done here and just the amazing person he is. So we're working on, we had an idea or we had a plan. Now we're working on a new one. Just want to let you know if this, I know a number of people, Freud was out in the lobby when that announcement was made, and Freud told me a number of people came out. And if you're one of those people that's really impacted just that your hurt is really deep hearing that what Jeff's going through, just please know you can reach out to any of our pastoral team here, and we'd be happy to process that with you and be here. Jeff has meant so much to so many. He's been there for so many of you through good times and bad times. We want to walk with you as you're feeling empathy for what he's going through, and as you're concern for him. We definitely want to be there for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us here as a pastoral team. And I just want to say a huge thank you to a number of wonderful people in this church who actually reached out to me and some of the other staff and asked how we were doing. And I just want to share my gratitude to you. I had several chaplains that work with Advent Health that reached out to me and said, "Hey, if you guys need anything, let us know." And I just want to say thank you to them for just that big heart to think of us. And right now, though, we just want you to be praying for Jeff and Tammy as they're going through this experience, and we're praying that Jeff will come out of it with a clean bill of health and just enjoy a nice long retirement. In the meantime, if you want to send a card to Jeff, just drop it here by the church. Be happy to deliver it to him. If you do send him an email or a text message, we just are asking you to have some understanding that he may not be up for responding to every email and text message that he gets, and it's nothing personal. And he appreciates, I know he appreciates all the words of support and love that have been coming his way. And but just please do understand that just with everything that's going on, he's may not have the energy to be responding to everything. So a number of you have asked if there's ways that you can help, and at this moment, your prayers are what we're asking for. If other opportunities come up, I'll be sure to let you as a church family know that, and we'll do our best to keep you in the know as we have more information that respecting Jeff's privacy at the same time. We'll give you the information that we can as we can, keep you up to date, because we know Jeff is an important part of your life as well, and we want to let you know that. So again, just wanted to make sure that if you weren't at church, you had the opportunity to hear about that. And also just kind of, if you were at church and it kind of hit you like a gut punch, hey, we know we're feeling that way. We understand that, and we definitely want to walk with you through that as a family, and we will get through this as a family together. I had somebody walk up to me after church and say, I need to apologize. I didn't hear any of your sermon because it hit me so hard. And I said, there's no apology needed for that. That's it. It's understandable. And
it was a rough week.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, and if you missed the video and you'd like to see Jeff in his own words say it, it's on all of our social media channels. It's also on the front page of the website. I decided that, if that for people to have ease of finding it and not sure where to look, if you're not a social media person, wholelife.church, it's right below the main graphic there, and Jeff's response, as well as the mission index. But that went out for everybody.
Well, and Jeff and Tammy, if you happen to be listening, we love you and we miss you, and we're praying for you.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, as much as we would like to continue, it's time to wrap it up. And man, that just feels like a real downer.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just I've known Jeff for so long, and no matter how many times it was years differences between crossings, it was always like the person that just your best friend that you just always carried that conversation with, and it still gets me right there. And when I saw the news, it just made me bawl like a baby. And so if you're listening, we love you and we're praying for you. Yep. So thank you all for listening, sharing, doing all the good things that you do. Wait for next week when we have an announcement for episode 400. And we'll be back with the Connect. There's all kinds of, and just don't miss. And if you're anywhere near, don't miss this next week. You want to be here in person, because I'm going to shake your hand, because you're going to see me. You just don't know where you're going to see me, but you're going to see me.
I'm feeling a little frightened.
Are you? No. Well, there's always that.
You'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised
when I show up.
Well, I hope that was enough to get you to come. So anyway.
And not stay away.
Come on. So anyway, we're looking. It's going to be a lot of fun this week. So stop by and see if you can find your tribe. All right, that'll do it for this week. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic week.